Why do you think women panic about carbohydrates when really it's protein that they're missing?
Years of false information and dieting corporations like Atkins that benefited from fear-mongering carbohydrates and then conditioned your parents to make you do the same. And the narrative that we see in Hollywood with avoiding carbs. I've got a shoot coming up. Just like it's completely false information. Carbohydrates are not inherently fattening, just like sugar is not inherently fattening. Fat is not inherently fattening. The only time that you gain body fat is if you have excess energy being calories. You can't store energy unless you have excess energy. Carbohydrates won't make you store more energy than any other macronutrient. If anything, if we look at the data, carbohydrate consumption has gone down, obesity has gone up over the last 20 years. So clearly it's not carbohydrates in and of themselves. If any macronutrient is causing people to overeat, it's fats, because fats are 9 calories per gram. They're more calorie dense than protein and carbohydrates. Most foods that you think are high in carbs are actually high in fat. French fries, burgers, cakes, a lot of processed foods are higher in fat than they are carbohydrates. The calorie density from those fats leads to a total calorie surplus. And this goes back to the average amount of calories consumed in this country is 3,600 calories a day. The average amount of exercise is less than 20 minutes per week. And we're sitting here blaming carbohydrates? No, it's overeating calories in total relative to your energy expenditure. I'm not going to dumb it down so far as to say just eat less and move more, but I think we could all do with eating a little less and moving a little more. That being said, the reason people are struggling, or it's manyfold, but what I can only go off of like what women tell me on calls prior to joining our program. Like one of the first questions I ask is like, how long have you been struggling? What are you struggling with? How is this impacting you emotionally? And a lot of what I hear is I've tried diet after diet. I've cut carbs 30 plus times. It's how I solved this problem the last time. So I just go back to it because it's all I know. And usually it comes from a childhood of being told this food is bad and carbs are bad and sugar is bad and you need to weigh this or else. And it was the only way that women learned to make the scale move was to drop. The first thing their go-to was just to cut out all carbohydrates or cut out an entire food group or cut out all sugar. And then they can't sustain that because who the fuck can? And because it was never realistic to begin with. And then they crash and burn, think they're broken, scale creeps up. What did they do last time to solve this problem? Make the scale go down? Cut carbs again. And so it's just ingrained in people's minds. But the reality is that carbohydrates in and of themselves are not inherently fattening. It's just excess energy in total from total calories. Yes, processed foods make you more likely to overeat because they're not satiating. That's the other part of this that's a little bit sinister is people think that all calories are equal. The reality is, the standard American diet is mostly comprised of processed foods. Are processed foods in and of themselves bad? No, but they don't fill you up. And when you're not full, you continue to eat. When you continue to eat, you're more likely to overeat total calories. So the more nutrient-dense foods you can eat, the better to make you more satiated, more full, and less prone to overeating. Not to mention, you'll get more micronutrients that fuel your body's functions. So it's multi-layered, but the fear around carbohydrates needs to die. There's more negatives than positives from the ketogenic diet. By far, is not sustainable long-term, but it makes the scale move enough for you to feel better temporarily. It was invented for epileptic children. It was never intended to be a mainstream dieting approach. Carbohydrates help you train harder, have more energy, have better cognition, and progress a lot better than if you keep